welcome back, folks, to the Membership Machine Show. This is episode 4. My co-host Spencer is messing around with his mic as I speak, but I'm used to it. We're recording this show on the 11th of 18th, 22. We do this live at 8:30 Pacific time. You can join us on YouTube if you've got any questions about building a membership site. In this particular episode, we're going to be talking about all things SEO and content marketing and how to produce content for your courses in general. There's a little bit of overlap. It's going to be a fantastic show. I'm pumped up to do it. And I've got my great co-host Spence with me. Spence, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
If I don't mess with the microphone, who's going to? This is it's Spence, and now, starting as of today, you can find me at my new hub, spencerforman.com. That's FORMAN.com. That's will lead you to the other 3 or 4 businesses that I'm involved with. So spencerforman.com.
You found a new digital home, have you, Spence?
It is what I will call the Grand Central Station of all things that I'm up to, because otherwise I have too many things to say.
There we go. Keep your life simple. That's what I say. So we're going in. You want a membership site. You want a second income. You want to build hopefully a long-term business. You want the freedom of online business. These are all great things. You got the knowledge. You're going to build your course. You have built your course, your first course, but people got to find your course, got to find your website, and there's many ways of marketing your great course, your great membership site online. But one of the fundamental things that you got to understand is content marketing and SEO. And one of the great things, we got to focus here on the membership machine show on WordPress, not exclusively, but both me and Spencer think it's a great solution. So you own your business, you're not leasing it. And one of the great things about WordPress, it's very SEO friendly and Google just loves it. But you do need some help. So we're going to look at, in this show, all the leading SEO plugins, other plugins, SEO Research Tools. We're going to do a mega dive, as we normally do. There's a load of value in this episode, so keep listening. So, Spence, let's go into the main SEO plugins, and let's start off with the big gorilla in the market, Yoast SEO. What are your thoughts about Yoast SEO?
Undeniable that it is the 500-pound gorilla, one of the first, if not the first. It has priority and has had priority in the WordPress repository since time and millennia. So that means nobody can really easily compete with it. However, there are a couple in our list, including number 4 and number 3, number 2, that do a pretty good job, especially number 4. Personally, I would not recommend this to anyone. And the reason for that sort of like unexpected response is that it does things that you don't know it's doing unless you're an expert, which results in unintended things. One big example of that is 301 redirects. It thinks it knows better. So, for example, a 301 redirect, meaning like call it a redirection to a page because it thinks you've disabled or turned off something on the original URL. While that might be helpful to somebody that doesn't know any better, to somebody who's doing marketing automation or sales funnels, you may be running a temporary page that you turn on and off and do this and that. And Yoast goes ahead and builds a redirection on its own in the background silently that you have to know how to find, because otherwise you pull out what's left of your hair looking for, why doesn't my sales funnel operate as I intended? That kind of behavior in the old days is that framework thing we talked about. Too many features being forced on you. Now,
sorry, you got some more to add?
yeah, I was going to say, it's just back to that same conversation. Are you looking to build a WordPress site where you have 1 or 2 key plugins that do everything? In which case, okay, fine. Maybe Yoast babysitting and doing this stuff for you is what you want. Like a tricycle is easy to ride. But if you're really looking to build features into something that is exactly as you want it, I would look where you got more control at the front end.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with the listeners and viewers. The present CEO of the company, the wife of the founder, she's a fabulous lady. Love her to bits. I've got history with the founder. We're not the best of friends for various reasons. So I've got to be very careful. But I just want to put that to you, listeners and viewers, because I believe in shooting straight. So I've got a bit of history with the founder and some of his practices. It was bought out probably over a year ago, probably even more, by one of the major hosting providers. I think they were bought by Go. Were they bought by GoDaddy or the IGN?
They haven't been owned. I mean, the founder and his wife, or maybe the two of them are the founders. I think the 2 founders, they haven't owned it directly for over a year at least.
Yeah, who bought it though?
Again, one of those private equity companies. I can't think of the name right now. That owns
I thought it was a hosting company that bought it.
Hold on.
But
Newfold Digital.
All right.
Newfold Digital, I believe, is, I could be wrong, as I recall, is owned by a larger private equity firm. I believe. I might be wrong on that. It's irrelevant to my opinion. My opinion is, unlike Jonathan's, based upon what it actually does or doesn't do. I could care less who owns it.
Yeah.
EIG
is
the private equity group that owns Newfold Digital, that now owns Yoast, and now
they had to rename themselves a couple
quite honestly
of times.
It's irrelevant to the point, because at the end of the day, you can see from our list, as we'll get on real quick, there are so many things you can use for SEO. Forget about the politics. It really makes no difference, because the been doing the same thing.
I was just being honest with the listeners and viewers. Let's get to the facts. It is expensive. I still use it because I'm lazy, basically, listeners and viewers. I would never buy the pro version. If you're going to, and I agree with Spencer, if I was, and I probably will be doing that in the next couple of months, I will be dropping it. But the free version kind of works. I certainly won't pay their overpriced pro plugins. They've got the main plugin, and they've got a set of add-ons. And if you've got WooCommerce, or if you've got a local community regional website, they make you buy a pro version. It's, to my mind, very overpriced. And for some of the reasons that Spencer's outlined, there's just better solutions out there. So I wish them well. So before we go into the other plugins, we're going to go for a short break from a couple of our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Like I say, you just listened to a couple of adverts from our major sponsors. I just want to point out they do some fantastic deals. To get these great offers, you just need to go over to WP-Tonic/deals, WP-Tonic/deals. And not only have you got some great special offers on there, but I list out all the plugins that I think are the best of breed for various tasks or things you need to do if you've got a membership website. I list them all out. They are affiliate links, but I use all these products either myself or I have tested them on clients' websites, and they're just superb. So to get all those goodies, go over there. So let's go into another one. I think one of the newer players in this, the SEO framework. Interesting pricing model. If you go with the pro version, all these major SEO have free versions, but they also all have pro versions. The pro version, very interesting pricing model because they want to lock you in for 4 years. I thought that was quite interesting. Kind of Swiss Army knife. Obviously offers a lot more value than Yoast, but I think there are some better solutions that we're going to be talking about. But he was breathing hard there, Spence. Yeah, that was a bit disturbing. What was mate, oh God, what are your thoughts around SEO framework?
I actually had good luck with it when things started to go sideways with Yoast. The SEO framework was in town already, and it was good results. It's it's got a very good following, utilitarian. I think with all of these, one has to ask whether you need the paid version of them, because again, I'm going to use a reference point we talked about in our WP Fusion show, which is, let's assume that you're a small business or an entrepreneur and you need details about what people are actually doing. This is something that I recall on a previous WP-Tonic show. You had Rand Fishkin on as a guest, and I basically held a mirror up to him on this, and Rand looked like I, ran over his cat. I said, Google Analytics is nonsense. It's lying to you. And the better way of measuring what your business is doing is to do marketing automation. Of course, I can't deny his expertise in the area, but even as he is today, I feel I've been redeemed because I've seen subsequent posts from him saying how Google Analytics is lying to you. So without getting him involved in this, the point is, look at a business that has traffic. If you use traditional SEO, the idea is you're trying to improve your search ranking to get traffic and then to analyze what happens with Google Analytics. That by itself has been around forever, but it's a gamed system. There's black hat, there's techniques, there's people that we know in our industry that are, pumping keywords into other people's, search areas and stuff like that. If you use marketing automation with a different type of marketing tactic to bring traffic, right? Like I call it fishing into pond traffic. When somebody comes to the site, you now know Spencer Foreman, Jonathan Denwood, Bob Smith, Susie Jones has come to the site, and you track.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I agree with partially what you're saying. But fundamentally, we've had this discussion before, and you've got a much more string how to frame it. But I fundamentally disagree with your position on this. But I don't want to go down this route. So. When it comes to SEO framework, because what I got was that they were offering, like some of these other plugins that we're going to be talking about, they offer a load of extra services in the pro version, which one of the problems, folks, with almost not all of these that we're going to be talking about, but and Yoast is one of the worst. They throw up a load of adverts in your dashboard to try and get you to buy the pro version. And like I say, Yoast is notorious for this. But the others aren't much better, a bit better. But they seem to be selling a lot of extra services. And unless you've got the skill and you've done a big dive in SEO,
I have to raise a flag to what you're talking about, because none of the things you're talking about are wrong. It's just you're talking, in my opinion, and this show, I feel, should be oriented towards, let's compare the things that are really important, apples for apples. In a metaphorical sense, there was a time when Google Analytics and getting traffic through organic search or paid ads in Google and measuring that was essential. Those days are over. So kind of like hold on,
totally.
let me.
You hopefully this ain't going to end up in just a
We're
bloody
not going to get
argument.
anywhere with the
because
show if I can't complete my thought.
Right.
So there was a time when a horse and a wagon was the best transport around, and we can have a whole show talking about horse and buggies and stuff, which is the best wagon wheel maker and so forth. Then it was gas automobiles, but we live in a world today of electric vehicles. Okay, there was a time in WordPress, as exemplified by you have 11, 12, 14, 16 different things on today's links where SEO was essential. And I'm saying it would be improper for us, a waste of the show, to just be saying, well, look, they all have the same 14 features, because they do. They have meta descriptions and open graph, and they have canonical URL.
I just want to keep this show on track, and we can have this discussion.
But we're talking about the wrong metric about these things.
Well, you think it's the wrong metric. I'm saying that.
So you at least, by having me on the show, give me at least enough room to finish my thought, which is this: if you look at the basic features, okay, of any of these free ones, most modern businesses can pick any of them. It is literally like choose which coffee brand you want. There's no right or wrong. And the second part of it then about the pro features. The pro features on these things don't matter as much as considering what your entire stack is. That's the point. The point is, like, pick any of the 14 or 12 for free, whatever, with the caveats we talk about. But when you're going to build something and pay money for something, don't build a horse. Don't build a gas car. Build an electric car.
I see where you're coming from, and
you do, but you're not really acknowledging that that's the factual basis for it. I mean, you know.
Well, right, let's move on.
Like we were talking membership plugins last week, and it's like nobody should buy a membership plugin when you can do the same thing with marketing automation.
All right, can we move on? Like I say, one of the better ones, I wouldn't say it was number one that I would choose, but I think it's a strong player, is SEO Press, which has got more, if you go with the pro version, with the caveat that I do agree with Spencer about his remarks about buying the pro versions. But I've got a slightly different stance around why you shouldn't buy the pro versions of these SEO plugins, because I think they're Swiss Army knives, and I think you're better off just using the free version and utilizing some of the more focused tools that we're going to be talking in this show. And I peeved off Spence, but there we go. You should have got used to it by now. So what's your thoughts about, I know you're dying to have another go at me, but can we have what's your basic thought of SEO Press? I think it's one of the more, if you're going to look at one of these plugins, it's one of the topper of the list.
To my mind's eye, the best feature of any of these is the ability to disable selectively the features you don't want to use.
Yeah. Because,
for example, as we talked about the Yoast, I mean, they do a bunch of stuff in the background. I don't have a lot of strong feelings about SEO Press. It's well known. It's been around long enough. It has a reasonable amount of installations. But as an up-and-comer, it's not the one that I have ended up selecting. The next one is. Yeah. So I can't say anything good, bad, or otherwise, other than to say the free version is worth trying out. I would definitely say you're going to find the similar features with just different interface. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah, I think it's a strong player, listeners and viewers. I think it's one of the stronger players in this list. Let's go on to what I feel is the top one, which is Rank Math. I will probably in the new year be moving a couple of my own properties and be utilizing this and getting rid of Yoast SEO. So what you've already said that you think this yourself is the top one. What do you like about it, and why have you decided that this is your poison?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, the founder, Bahanu, and his team are very progressive in a positive way. So on the same order of the Shah Jahan Jewel and, Jack Arturo and Chris and his team over at Lifter, he's proactively actually involved in the interface, in the tool, in talking about the features, getting input and feedback. They have built something that, number two, has AI built into it, which is a bit of a gimmick, a little tchotchke. But for example, if you wanted to do a little research to find out what a good keyword is, if you still believe that's going to help you in a world of 8 trillion websites, then at least you can use the AI feature, free or otherwise. Sorry, truth hurts. Third is
it's your bloody truth. It ain't mine.
They're actively involved. What's so funny about the show is that we had like 4 shows, and you've immediately gone back to pre-membership machine Jonathan, and I'm going to ask you now.
It's not me.
Stop doing that. Just go back to the Jonathan we had in the last 4 or 5 shows here. Don't go back to the old WP-Tonic Jonathan, because I'm not going to participate in any active way if you keep doing that. I really am serious. I will not participate in the show if you're going to keep doing that, because I can't give people honest advice if you're just hedging my, tree all the time. So let me say what I feel, because it's based on facts. Okay. So, and Jonathan and I love each other. Mommy and daddy are fighting. It's okay, kids. This particular plugin has got active development and features that are moving in the right direction as a feature. Now, while it has the framework capability, other than an atrocious banner that shows up at the top for the admin, which can be blocked, other than that, which scares the bejesus out of you the first time you see it, it does so much in the free version that for most people, you can just go with the free version. And then you can live the life that I'm talking about, which is like, what is this good for? And there might be 14, 15 different really well-organized buckets, which I really like how they did it, where you can just have this bucket turned on and the other one's turned off. And I appreciate how thoughtful they are about the interface, the AI, the feature segmentation, and so forth. But more importantly, it's all transparent on the front for an expert who knows what they're doing to turn off, versus the let's find where Yoast, hid the bodies in the basement.
Yeah. All right, on to the next one. SEO Skrillily. This is attempting to kind of they're all a bit like this, but this is definitely it's charging $71 a month up to 7 websites. It's aimed at the more professional, and it's trying to be, it's more of a kind of trying to become a more professional SEO research tool. I don't think it's worth 70. If you're going to go down there, there's some specific tools that we're going to be talking about that are a little bit more expensive. There's a number of other professional SEO research tools around this $71 mark that I just don't think provide the kind of data, the quality, the history that you need. So it's okay, but I would just go with rank math. I don't know if you know anything about this particular plugin. What's your thoughts?
I've seen it. I think this is a good example of a company, again, who sees an opportunity in the marketplace. There's plenty of people who on their face don't necessarily, as I was suggesting, know, care, or understand fully SEO. And so they're just like, I need an SEO plugin, right? A couple things to point out. First of all, they seem to have more of an effort, which is a nice thing in some ways, on the analysis and the keyword research as one of their cool features. Again, leaning heavily on the, gimmicky or not, the AI. Now, our friends and colleagues use AI in lots of different places and some of the other plugins. It's early days, but for some people, it's kind of cool. I think it's gimmicky because there's no direct correlation between AI picking keywords or doing it manually or having somebody off of Fiverr do it. But nevertheless, for some people, it's kind of cool. Where they really kind of show what my point is. Because again, this is just going to the grocery store and there's 400 coffees on the aisle in America. Pick the one you like, try it. Maybe you like the red label and your friend likes the blue label. As it says in the middle of their copy, see the 650 features that'll help you optimize your site. Click here. For goodness sake, 650 features I get to choose from. Wow. I need to go through 650 features to know of why I need this plugin. You know what would be really awesome? A plugin or a feature plugin that says, here's the one thing that it does, or maybe 3 things, because that's my opinion about where WordPress is off the ranch and turned into this confusing mess. And today's show is an example. We don't need 12 or 14 different plugins doing SEO for a utilitarian function. It should be almost a core feature, to be honest.
Yeah. On to the last one of the major plugins before we go for our break, which should have happened like 10 minutes ago, but it's been a long-winded first half. But it's the totally opposite of the previous plugin, and it's Slim SEO. And Slim is it? It provides basic functionality. I would still probably go with Rank Math, even though it's got some of the with the banner advert, which is atrocious, as Spence has pointed out. And I certainly won't pay for the pro versions. But Slim, but if you want a bare bones, just focus on the key things, it could be your cup of tea. What do you reckon?
Yes, yes, and yes. This plugin is exactly doing what I was talking about. And in many ways, I can't say any more good things about it because it is sticking to its lane. This is the plugin, for example, that somebody who has, I posted a bunch of things like how to make $300 selling a solution with 3 features to a yoga instructor or a massage therapist. Like I'm doing a case study on what I'm doing right now with my massage therapist because I got some back troubles. For those customers that have simple websites.
So you're back. You got Jonathan trouble.
Oh my God. Like that's the pain in my arse. The thing that this does so well is you've got a simple website that needs basic stuff. Like it needs to have the meta information, or it needs to have maybe Open Graph or whatever. This lets you do that without spending an entire week trying to undo what Rank Math does or what Yoast does or anything else. And that is what is so elegant and beautiful about it. And for free. This is what a feature plugin should be like. Now, is it perfect? I don't think so, but boy, does it get the job done. And in the same way, like many free plugins do, like in most cases, if you have a website, even built on Cadence, and you just need your Facebook Open Graph and Twitter images to show up properly, there's a free plugin called the OG plugin or whatever. You just put it in. You don't even have a setting on it. All it does is it makes sure that the default image on every poster page shows up. It's like, what the hell is everything else trying to do there? You know, I need a spoon, not a drawer of stuff. So this one actually gets a high 5 on the Spence scale.
I think if you just want the bare bones, look at Slim SEO. If you want something, but you don't have to pay for the pro version. They're going to eat me for saying this. Is Rank Math. They're the 2 of the list.
Agreed. For the reasons we said, like if you want to do all that clever stuff, if you want to see your score, you want to research keywords, you want to do like all these interactive things, use Rank Math. If you want just like,
I disagree there because I'm going to explain myself in the second half. I wouldn't use it for all that. I just like the interface. It's more polished and it's got a couple things that you might find, but a lot of it, I would switch it off. I wouldn't use it because I think if you're going to get serious about this, you need some other tools, which we're going to discuss in the second half of the show. We're going to go for our break, folks. got a couple of adverts from our great sponsors. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. I just want to point out I do a great weekly newsletter, all things WordPress and tech in general, and it's got some great special offers in that. You just need to go over to WP-Tonic/deals again, and you can sign up for the weekly newsletter, which I write and put some effort in. Before we go into the others, I just want to explain this to some viewers. Me and Spence have known one another for a long time, and it's a marriage that's gone wrong a lot of times. We've got a lot of history, but I love Spence, but most of the time he wants to cut my balls off. But I fundamentally, I've built a reasonably successful business on SEO, folks, and content marketing. And when he disparages the ability for you to grow your business, I fundamentally disagree with him. But it doesn't mean that I don't agree with almost 90% of what he says. But Spencer, you just push it a little bit too far for me. And when I push back, you don't like it.
We're old family, but the truth does hurt. And I know it hurts you. And I sometimes feel it's the good medicine for you to hear it. And definitely our audience needs to hear it, because that's the only reason why I show up here. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody anything that isn't fundamentally correct. And I'm willing, by the way, like I said in the old days, if somebody has factual verification that I am off my rocker, tell me, please. And I will publicly admit it, give you credit for it, and send you a virtual pony, which I will post up. That's the way I thank people.
I'm looking forward to get out. I like ponies, so I'm looking forward to that.
I just feel like we live in a world of illusion, especially online, and we don't need to talk about the politics of WordPress, but WordPress is so amazing, but in a flea market way, where it should be just so clear from the top. Like, that's what the goal is of the show.
Yeah. So on we go. So we got some resources, a real mixture that will help you with your SEO, and you. But I do agree with Spencer. A lot of these plugins, especially the ones we were talking about in the first half of the show, they throw in a lot of stuff to get you to buy the pro version, and a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. I do agree with him on that. So this is one of the purposes of this show. So Broken Link Checker, it's a free. One of the things that Google, when it's indexing your website, is it doesn't like to see a load of broken links. And if you've got any kind of membership website or larger website, you get broken links. There's a few of these free versions. It comes from a well-known agency plugin development shop. There's other choices, but I chose this because it comes from a respectable source. What's your view about this Broken Link Checker, Spence?
I mean, I love James Farmer and WPMU devs in general. This plugin has enough bad reviews to make me say use with caution compared to other ones. It doesn't mean it's fundamentally bad, just means that it has some rough edges around it. And for that reason, I would use it cautiously, because there have been utilities that I've used in the past. For example, maybe I migrated a site, or there was some issue where there was an old non-SSL link to an image, right? So I've used some plugins in the past to search and replace databases. Maybe there's 6 or 8 of them. If somebody's using it for a slightly different purpose than mine, they might get a really bad result. Whereas for me, it's like, oh, it works great. But that requires me to be kind of on red alert when I'm using it, and not just mindlessly, do it, because the results may not be what I expect. So I would give caveat here.
Is there any particular one that comes to your mind that you would recommend?
No, but if you search, I know if you search for Broken Link Checker, there are an abundance of them, free and otherwise. And this kind of goes hand in hand, quite frankly, with site mapping, because at the end of the day, if you are using, let's get back to Google tools, a tool that is great is any of the Google site tools. So forgetting analytics for a second, Google by itself will tell you if your site is messed up. It will send you, if you turn on the notices, like, we found these bad links, you better fix them. And like, quite honestly, that seems to be a much easier way to do it, because the authority that it matters to is the one that's telling you what's broken when their robots try to index your site. So say la vie.
Now, on to the next utility plugin, XML sitemaps. We're not talking about the kind of physical sitemap page that lists all your posts, and this is a kind of sitemap which Google's Spider technology likes to see. And it was one of the things that Yoast was notorious for. I think they sorted that out. It used to bugger that up. This produces an XML sitemap like the previous broken link checker. There's a load of these. I think. What's your thoughts about this, Spence?
I give this a high five, because this is like the slim SEO. This takes that feature and it breaks it out, and it does it amazingly well without everything else. I mean, it's quite literally, I'm going to the store to buy a spoon, not a dinnerware set, not plates, not wedding gifts. I want a spoon. And I can use this spoon along with the slim SEO fork, along with the, marketing automation. I can build the features together that cost me nothing. And unlike the last one, this one actually is almost exclusively 5 stars. I mean, it's 2,000 5 stars and a handful of 1 stars, which are probably just oddball kind of things, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
on to internal. One of the things, folks, is there's SEO research, which finding particular topics that your website can compete with your competitors that still will produce enough traffic. And then you've got all the other things which Spencer is correct. You've got to convert that traffic, but you've got to get the traffic first. And so writing, being in a niche, overcomes Spencer's, there's a million websites. He's totally correct about that. That's why you need to find your niche. And then you need to do your SEO research in it, and then find the particular posts or topics you're going to write about. But the other factor that Google plays some strength, which you have the term on-site SEO. Basically, that's a term that means that you're just kind of optimizing everything on your website. So it's like that first date you go on. You want to look reasonably good for your first date. So you're trying to get your website to be as attractive to Google as possible. So one of the factors that Google looks at is internal links. But you've got to have good content. But then it wants to see that you link your internal content. Doing it manually is obviously the best way, but also very time consuming. I utilize this plugin myself. It was recommended to me by a couple of people that I really expect in the field, and I've been using it and I find it really great. And that's Link Whisperer. It's for one site license, it's $77 per year. Like I say, I use it every post I put on my properties. I utilize it. Do you know about this particular plugin, or what's your view, Spencer?
It's the Link Whisperer. This is another great example of a business focused on a feature. I do find this one to be compelling in a good way. To amplify what you've said. Let's say, like each of us, or perhaps other people, you're very prolific, but you've covered a lot of ground in the years, 16 years in WordPress. I got a lot of stuff out there. Right now, one of the motives about SpencerForeman.com was to gather a net or use a net and gather up everything that is relevant, sort it out. It can be a very arduous process. This essentially allows one to automate the process of sending people to other relevant content using a little bit of AI and a little bit of automation tools. And in doing so, I think it definitely provides, at $77, a huge time saver and a benefit. And that is the kind of utility that I high five to. It's not trying to do 2 things or 4 things or 12 things. It's trying to do one thing really well. And it's a clear proposition. $77, totally reasonable.
Yeah, there's I put a second one that I have never utilized, but it seemed to have a few good write-ups. That's Link Juicer. Seems to
Oh, I
do
made
the same.
breakfast with that this morning. Yeah, it was
Did
delicious.
you? Right, there we go. Oh, well, that's nice to know.
It's a great name, by the way. But
yeah, Link Juicer. I do like the name. It's for the main thing. It's a very similar price for one website license, $69. But they do offer a $200 lifetime deal. Like all lifetime deals, you got to be sure that they're going to be around for. Our position on lifetime deals, me and Spent, is a little bit different. I do agree. Offering a lifetime deal all the time, to me, is a red flag, because it means that there is some possibility that they're probably going to disappear, in my opinion.
I think a lot of stuff is going to disappear.
But periodic special deal, lifetime deals, I've got no problem with. So
I think just on that last comment, I think people, in my opinion, should be cautious about lifetime deals, because think about telephones, think about computers, think about cars, think about other things that, even if it's as simple as the hardware's still good, the operating systems and everything else change so fast that you've got, like myself, maybe a closet full of junk. I was surprised when I dipped my toe into offering things for lifetime, how people think they're sort of similar to NFTs or classic paintings, that they're going to sit on the shelf and be worth something in the future, like baseball cards. They're not, because WordPress is moving so fast. And I've been through 3 major iterations of WordPress's stuff. I would just buy the annual license of anything that's compelling for a single site. It's totally worth $100, give or take, and see if it improves your situation. Because that's my bottom line. If you're using these things, you presumably have a business purpose. And if your business cannot support the $600 to $1,200 for an entire year of owning the software, you probably should not be doing that business, quite honestly.
All right, we're going to wrap up the podcast part of the show. We're going to continue with bonus content, which if you're watching this, you can find on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. I've got a few other things that I think you're going to find really useful and probably bore the tears out, Spencer. I've already got his blood supply. You must feel invigorated because I've woken you up, Spencer.
Anybody who's watched you and I long enough, because I've been on like 600 freaking shows of yours already, knows this is our relationship. It's like brothers or whatever. I don't know, something like.
I don't have this relationship that we've got with my brother. I can tell you that now.
It's like that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly movie, I think, Step Brothers. It'd be more like that.
So, Spencer, how can people find out more about you and what you're up to?
Now I would send everybody to spencerforman.com, and I'm hoping that the E part, so it's SPENCERFORMAN.com. And that will take you through a hub that gets you to all the other stuff I'm up to, including current content, my businesses, my consultancy, and so forth. So give it a try. Let me know what you think, if it's helpful or not.
Yeah, and thanks for your continuous support. It's much appreciated, Spencer. Like I say, if you want to find more about WP-Tonic, the best way is obviously go to the WP-Tonic website or go to the WP-Tonic YouTube channel and subscribe and give us a thumbs up on these videos and podcasts. It really does support the show. We'll be back either next week. I'm not sure if we're going to do a show next week because it's Thanksgiving week next week. But otherwise, we'll be back the following week. We'll see you soon. Like I say, we'll be continuing the conversation. We've got a list of other things, and you'll be able to watch that on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye. Right. On we go. So Google Analytics plugins. I'm going to do it in reverse order. The big gorilla in this particular one is Monster Insights. My feeling about Monster Insights is my feeling, a very similar feeling to Yoast SEO. What's your thoughts and feelings about it?
Okay, so now I have to give my, I don't know what you call it, my disclaimer. Okay. The company that owns this has a founder that everybody knows. He's extremely successful, a good family man. I'm sure a wonderful human being. I publicly take issue with his business practices. And therefore, his products, in my view, my opinion, reflect that duplicitous method of doing business. I don't like that his plugins break the unwritten law or spoken law of WordPress to phone home. They're all really like SaaS type products that all have sort of like there's a plugin that call back home. I don't like the advertising. I don't like a lot of stuff about it. So I am just going to count myself out of opining on this one because I would not recommend any of his products to anybody ever, because I can't do business with somebody in a world of choice who does things that are different than what they say publicly.
Yeah,
and it was, by the way, I say that with a hole in my heart because I want to compare that to James Farmer at WPMU, who I do think I have as somebody to emulate. He's an outspoken, polarizing figure, but man, does he speak the truth about what he's doing, how he does it, and he, unlike some other people in our space, is not duplicitous, and I can't stand duplicitous characters.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of, I've got no beef with the guy, but I do agree with most of what you just said, but it's just also it's a quality product, but it is expensive compared to the next one, which I struggle pronouncing, Analytify. Pardon?
Analytify.
I apologize, listeners and viewers. But I utilize this on my own properties and I've been totally happy with it, and it's straightforward pricing. And I did a dive because I was at some time using Monster Insights and I got fed up with the pricing and their other shenanigans. And I've been using this for over 2 years and I'm totally happy with it. What's your own thoughts, Spencer?
This is the one that I use if I'm not using native. So again, I don't have my head in the sand about what Google Analytics does. I still keep an eye on it. But what I do is typically I'll set up a Google Analytics account just so it's there collecting data. And then I'll use either the built-in tools that, by the way, Google has a plugin directly, or one of the Google plugins that show it. But there's a free version of Analytify, which quite honestly does the job that I needed to do.
I need to quantify, because I think we had a little bit of Barney in the first half and we didn't need it, because I understand where you're coming from, because people, especially SEO agencies, you can get a little bit, and it's also encouraged, you can get really totally fixated and anal about your Google Analytics, right? Totally anal. And you are correct when it comes to the data. They have manipulated and restricted the data over the years to such an extent that you can only utilize it for very general patterns. But there is a fine line where you get fixated about it and you're wasting your time, because as I agree with what Spencer said, that a lot of the data is really suspect.
Let me give you a metaphor, okay?
Yeah.
You can talk about social media, or you could talk about dating. Let's do it social media. I have a business. Let's say a person has a business and they need to get known. So they start putting up videos on YouTube or YouTube Shorts or another social media channel. You could spend every waking hour of every day trying to get more viewers and more people to see your videos. If your goal is simply to make the number that YouTube shows you in your dashboard larger, you then could use things that are comparable to SEO tools. But if your business is not monetizing that YouTube traffic, what is the point of that? In dating, you could have 8 million people click on your dating profile, but if you never go out on a date and build a relationship in person with somebody, what is the point of that? I'm saying where people are missing the boat with analytics today is, who the heck cares how many random anonymous visitors come to this, that, or the other? What's important is, do you put them into a sales funnel that ends up getting a result that you wanted? And that's where Google falls apart. Here's why. Google cannot track people across the various things that they're bouncing from unless it's on your site. And when they do, they keep the data about who actually did it, and they show up, this person is an anonymous number. And then your competitors, like the company we just talked about, jams on the research to find out all your best keywords and traffic, steals that traffic, or worse, they make you spend a fortune on ads because they send a bunch of bots to your site. And that stuff is not like uncommon. That is everyday competitive bullshit. So what I say to a company, whether it's a startup or a big company that comes to me, I say, let's put some marketing automation in. And the key to getting in your site is just give an email. And even though there's GDPR things we have to take care of in Europe, at least we can say, that is Jonathan Denwood, who came to the site today, yesterday, the day before, and he's gone along.
I totally agree with you. But the basic fact is, you've got to get them to the site to do the marketing automation, and this is why content.
None of these tools do that, though.
Well, no,
they do. Hits.
Well, they do. You need the knowledge. So let's go forth. So let's do
pause, please. Pause. That last thing you said is just not true. These tools like Analytify can only measure once somebody has hit your website. Okay? When somebody comes to your website, you are going to offer them something. See this, click this, buy this, give an email for this. In today's world, everybody is already conditioned. If there's something useful, I'll give my email, because I know I can always get rid of that. And in doing that, you can send them down the analytics path or the marketing automation analytics path. And what I'm saying is, it can't measure things that happen on third-party sites. You need a specialty type of service that we're not talking about today.
I'm not talking about.
Extremely expensive.
I totally agree with you, but
okay. I just want to make it clear that you don't need to go down the path of analytics with Google Analytics.
It does give some indications, but so on to the next segment.
Me and Tanner are still fighting, kids.
Well, Spencer wants to. I'm chilled out. SEO. I'm still chilled out. SEO Research Tools. Now, this is one of the key factors where a lot of people go wrong, folks, without doing SEO research about. I'm getting some feedback from your speakers. Basically, this is where, doing in the first half of the podcast show, folks, and about what Spencer said about Google Analytics, which almost 95% of it I agree with. You can really waste a lot of time. But this area isn't a waste of time, because it's one of the... But you really got to understand and do research and study, is that domain authority and competing, you got to find a niche, and you got to, it's part science and part judgment. You got to choose topics that have got enough search volume, but you've got to have all the other factors around conversion to make all this worthwhile. So you've got to have some good research tools. Now, there's a lot of competitors. There's some that are free. There's some that are cheaper than the ones I'm listing. But based on my experience in this, not always, but to some extent, you get what you pay for. And I've listed 4 and I've utilized all 4, and 3 of them I still use and I pay for them. And so I think they are the best. And if you're going to down this route of producing, going down the route of content marketing, you're going to need to invest in some of these tools as well, in my opinion. So one of the leading ones is Ahrefs. They've been around. It's the one that I utilize regularly. Almost every day I'm into Ahrefs, looking at it, utilizing it. It's not cheap. It's $99 standard or $100. I got help with this. I utilize one of their rare times where they do a special offer. What's your thoughts about Ahrefs, Spencer?
I know one of the founders, and back in the day when I was involved with firstwebdesigner.com, they built an amazing business, and undeniably, as a tool for what needs to be done with keyword research, absolutely one of the best, if not the best. I just can't say this enough times, though. Unless you are planning on investing a gigantic amount of money in advertising, there's no point to this. There's no point. Okay, here's the metaphor. In the original days, you have what's the point of this show if I'm not going to say how things really are? It's like we are in a world where Twitter is in a meltdown and Facebook has lost 60% of its value and Google is robbing people blind, and all of the hope of humanity of these billionaires, they're off tweeting stuff instead. Can't we talk honestly about the state of what SEO really is? I'm saying the point of SEO in the past was that Google was a cute little search engine that you had a snowball chance in hell of being found on. You actually could be found without spending a fortune. Now, between the paid advertisements and the gaming in the system and 8 billion people whose professional lives are around black hat tactics, unless you are going to find some incredibly niche topic and either pour all of your parents' estate money into advertisement, you might as well spend your time going and building a following of real people with a different technique. Because to be discovered for any keyword that is worth buying is going to require either a ton of time or a fortune of advertising. And that is the reality.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. If you let me say something, because I've given you a lot of time and air on this episode. I've built two reasonably successful businesses, but it does take time, and I've had to invest money in it. But that's the same with any
How much time and how much money?
I think with WP-Tonic, when it comes to content,
it's been over 10 years with WP-Tonic.
No. Give me a break, will you? I think in the particular niche I've been in the particular niche that I focused with WP-Tonic for the past 4 years. I must have invested about $30,000 to $40,000 in content.
Even if you use that as a reference point. 4 years and 40 grand.
Yeah. Well, okay. But that's the reality of building a business, Spencer. You do have to invest in it.
I'm saying the same thing, but you just proved my point, which is, okay, if we looked at 90% of the people who have an idea in WordPress who could get started, they could get started for a couple $1,000s. and they could go find a very small pond of people into which to market and spend their early days making product market fit, finding fans. There's lots of examples even of breakout companies who've done that in the bigger space, like they got on Product Hunt. But to try to do SEO and SEO keyword research is just not a starting point, let's put it kindly, in today's world, because you're going to need 4 years and 40 grand. And by then we're either going to be on Mars or the world is going to be a different place.
We're not going to agree. So let's move on. Sam Rush. It's the main competitor to Ahrefs. It has a slightly, one of the problems with Ahrefs is it's got a rather dated interface. Sam Rush has a kind of more modern, it has a slightly different, I don't know how to explain. I've utilized it. In some ways, I thought it was better than Ahrefs, but I've changed my mind now. It's promoted really strongly on the internet because they give a lot of, they've got a very strong affiliate package. It's not a bad product, don't get me wrong, but of these two of the big gorillas, I would probably go with Ahrefs. What's your thought about what I've just said there, Spence?
It's got a nice interface. I don't find that the jankiness of the interface has any effect on the outcome because this is utility. So, I mean, it's not like you have somebody who's going to be working with this that isn't an expert, because I will tell you from working with all four of these, they are not tools for the uninitiated or the faint of heart. I mean, if like this is command line level of knowledge required to understand what you're doing. So the interface is beside the point, if you ask me.
Yeah. So on to another one I've been using for quite a while, which I think of these professional level tools, which I agree with Spencer, but we're covering all bases. And this is the kind of commit. If you're going to go down this route, Spencer is correct. This ain't for the light-hearted, but we're covering the whole subject in this episode. But it's the product I use regularly, and I think for the price, it's excellent value for what they provide. Is KW Finder. I've been using it for quite a while, and it was recommended to me by Brian Jackson, a former marketing manager at Kinster. Really, if you're looking, if you can't afford Ahrefs, and you probably can't, but you want to get the next this and the next one we're going to be talking about, I think are great investments. What's your own view of KW Finder, Spence?
I give it the same kind of response as the last one, which is it's fine. It does, it's utility, and that's all I care about it. Because if I go into like Google, I mean, Google does a lot of powerful stuff, and my God, their interface is atrocious, but it works. So
I really like. I would personally myself really recommend, and they do periodically some good offers, so you can get it at a reduced price. A new product that I've been using for about 4 to 5 months, and it's a key product now. And Natalie from Access Alley kind of tipped me off that she was utilizing this, and I always listen to Natalie as a competitor, but I have the greatest respect for her. Really sharp lady. Is Surfer SEO, which is a kind of new breed of SEO tool. The market was totally dominated by the three we talked about, and like I say, I pay for this, and I use it almost every day now. What's your thoughts about Surfer SEO, Spencer?
I mean, I like the fact that it's progressive. It's kind of got like that similar moving forward interface, and it makes it appear to be fun, which is great. The actual things that it does, I mean, it's suggestions, and I don't know if it's using AI, but it definitely is using like, here's the things you got to do kind of checklist. It's helpful. Like for somebody who's not doing this for a living, it's good. For somebody who does this for a living, I don't know how much they'd want to use it because it kind of gets in the way. It reminds me a little bit about when you go to a website, and I thank God these have died down, but when instead of having a click here to talk to a real person, or click here and send us a message, it would be click here and talk to a bot. And then you'd end up having to answer 80 billion stupid questions, like the old-fashioned voice tree, to get what you want. And it's like, can I just get to the point?
So I just want to talk to somebody. Yeah.
So for somebody who knows what they're doing, my concern would be this would maybe get in their way a little bit. But for somebody who's like, oh, this is a training tool for me. But you're learning how to make carve wood into wagon wheels, in my opinion.
Yeah, well,
all of these things are going away.
Put
a fork in this, put a flag in the show, and let's talk in 3 years and see where Google and SEO is at, because I guarantee you.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's going anywhere, but we have to agree to disagree. The final section.
If we're still alive.
Well, yeah, if we are, if you continue the way you're going, I think you're going to have a heart attack. I think you're going to blow a vessel in your brain. Let's go on to a new breed of AI writing tools, which help you write content, and which not only for your content marketing strategy, but can also help you with your course syllabus, helping you write it. They all, I'm not expert on this, but I think they're all utilizing technology from OpenAI, which is open source company that produces the background technology that a lot of these companies are utilizing. One of the main players is Jasper, Starter Plan 40, Boss Mode 82, not the cheapest. What's your view on Jasper?
Well, Jasper kind of, okay, my mic's on. Jasper kind of was the market leader on this. I don't know whether Sonic or Shortly came in, but Bertha definitely came in after Jasper, and I had a long conversation or two with its founders. We talked about the value proposition. So like Jasper used the original engines, created sort of like a market around like, look, you can do this stuff now. Bertha has done a good job, in my opinion, coming in and connecting that ecosystem to WordPress at a reasonable price. The other two are just versions of what Jasper does with slightly different interfaces. I have mixed feelings about this just because we're early days. On the one hand, OpenAI is frighteningly here, not going to go away, and is already demonstrating things when mixed with visual arts or video or photos to be frightening in terms of how good the output is, right? Like Chris, our friend Chris over at Lifter was doing some images.
Yeah, I like that image. You saw that, like you see, he looks very.
I mean, it's like take Chris's picture and merge it with like, I don't know, a puppet show or something. And he had all these different things. But the point is, like for writing, it's already demonstrably true that these things write really good content, but they don't take the place of the human aspect. So there's still that uncanny valley feeling when you're using any of these that it's really good, but it's sort of like, what? Like what? This is out of place. Like you need to selectively take the content and then re-edit it. But it does save a ton of time of getting like ideas out of your head.
Yeah, it's uncannily good if you got to learn the tool. As a non-intelligent dyslexic, as that's one statement that Spencer would agree with. Obviously, I find it very useful, and the two he did respond to that. White Sonic and Shortly AI are kind of competitors. White Sonic I haven't utilized, but they've got a cheaper pricing model. It's the short form starts at $10, long form starts at $20 compared to Jasper. And then I bought into the lifetime deal with a former co-host now, who's a joint founder of Bertha AI, which I agree with you has done a really good job of integrating, I would imagine, technology from OpenAI into the WordPress platform. So what to finish off, what's your view of Bertha AI?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think Andrew has, I think Andrew and Vito together are still doing it, but like Andrew definitely is very actively involved in it. And I think that as a business, it's definitely something that is a feature that's specific to what it does. Its promise is very clear. Its pricing is obviously great. They've got they used to, I'm sure they have a very generous free offer so you can get your hands around it. And for people who need this, I've demonstrably shown it's very, very useful. I mean, it's taken me a long time. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but I've been writing content, producing videos. To get off of those starting blocks for somebody that doesn't do it as a routine is sort of like being I don't know, like a musician or something, where it's, how does it work? It's a system, it's a process. Stephen King and Paul McCartney did these things. Well, to write content for a blog post, and if you're not doing it often, is hard. So they really do kind of jump you out of the blocks. And for most people, it's really good because, especially if you're not a Native American English speaker, the dialects and things can be tricky, if you're coming from overseas. So I highly recommend Bertha. Jasper was really cool, but it was quite pricey very quickly.
Yeah, it is.
And so the other two, I think like you might as well just stick with the WordPress Bertha AI.
Yeah, I think if you're in the WordPress space, I think definitely look at Bertha AI. Or if Jasper's got a good reputation, but it has become quite pricey, hasn't it?
Well, you pay for the higher engine if you want it, and it gets really expensive. But truth be told, all of these are just our first forays into the future that we're all going to be living from everywhere. Like, this is just like, oh, you saw that guy? He's got a car and it has a phone in it, and he's really, on a radio talking to an operator. And the next thing you know, like everybody's got phones in their ear. Well, same with those.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. Spencer needs to go and have a whiskey. I've kind of raffled. He looks a bit...
I need some therapy after this show.
Well, you blame it all on me, but I think most of it is your responsibility.
We know where the blame lies.
He'll blame me. He always does, listeners. It'll be all my fault.
I will let history be the judge of my performance.
All right. Like I say, got to discuss it with Spencer if we're going to do a show next week, or we're going to have a break for Thanksgiving. If not, if we don't see you next week, I'm English, so I'm up for it. And if I don't see you next week, we see you the following week. Otherwise, if not, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you and your family a great Thanksgiving, and have a great time. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.